kind of an environmental question. According to a recent Colorado College survey, more than 80% of Utahns support conserving 30% of America's land and water by 2030, along with the creation of new national parks, monuments, and tribal lands. One here in Utah is the Bears Ears National Monument. A majority oppose the removal of certain protections with these lands. As president, can you detail what your approach would look like with land and water issues in the United States?
Well, I think it's really important. First, when it comes to the environment, we should do everything we can to have clean air, clean water, protect our lands, do everything that we can. But we need to do it in what I say is common sense. You know, we need to acknowledge what needs to happen. When it comes to federal lands and things like that, I think the people who live in the state need to have a say. I don't want federal government coming in telling people what they're going to do or what they're not going to do when the people themselves have to live there and do that. So I think it's always been important that states have their say in what happens to their land, what happens to their water, and what monuments go up or go down. And so I would give states full control on that.
The last presidential debate is going to be here in Utah in October. You are the Republican nominee. Will you participate?
Of course. Absolutely.
As South Carolina governor, you signed a 20-week abortion ban and would have approved a 6-week ban had the legislature passed it. Is abortion a women's rights issue that states should address, or is there a greater role for Congress and the White House?
Well, two different times, from when the 20-week happened to obviously when states are happening. The way I look at it is, I think it's an incredibly personal issue, and I think it's one that requires respect. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted. I had trouble having both of my children. Having said that, I don't judge anyone for being pro-choice any more than I want you to judge me for being pro-life. But we have to look at kind of how we got here. Prior to 1973, we had 46 state laws on abortion. In 1973, unelected justices threw out those 46 state laws and said abortion anytime, anywhere, for any reason. I think a wrong was made right when the unelected justices said this needs to be back in the hands of the people so the people can decide. Some of the states have gone more pro-life. I welcome that. Some of the states have gone more on the choice side. I wish that wasn't the case, but the people decided. And I think that's the way it needs to happen. When it comes to a federal law, which is what's been the debate, I think in order to have a federal law, you have to be honest with the American people about how that comes about. You can only get a federal law if you have a majority of the House, 60 Senate votes, and a signature of a president. We haven't had 60 Republican senators in over 100 years. We might have 45 pro-life senators. So no Republican president can ban all abortions any more than a Democrat president can ban all the state laws. So what can we do? I think we can find consensus. We should agree to ban late-term abortions. We should agree to encourage adoptions and good quality adoptions. We should agree that doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them. We should agree that contraception should be accessible. And we should agree that no state law should tell a woman who's had an abortion that she's going to jail or she's getting the death penalty. Let's start there. We need to humanize this issue and stop demonizing it. In college, I had a roommate who was raped. And I wouldn't wish on anyone that they go through what she went through, wondering if she was pregnant. Everybody has a story. We need to be respectful of their story.
Absolutely. I've got one more question for you. It's kind of a fun one. Has there been something that you've enjoyed the most being here in Utah so far?
I mean, Utah is beautiful. I mean, everywhere you look, it is beautiful. But the people have been so nice and so gracious and so kind. I honestly think this has probably been the kindest state that we've campaigned in so far, because you just feel the prayers, you feel the support, you feel how kind people are. And even when they ask a question, there's such a level of respect that I appreciate. And so it's been great to be here, and I wish we could have stayed longer.